in the Yukon where there's nothing.
Yeah, we were talking about
so having lived still almost half of my life in the Canadian Arctic. That's some pretty heavy words. I mean, that's, you know, and it really, like, the pros, especially like Yukon, Alaska. Like, I would probably go to Alaska.
Yeah.
Same latitude as Yellowknife from where I'm from. Most of the places where people live in Alaska, but way warmer, right? Because you have the base, way warmer. Because you have the Pacific is just right there, and that regulates the temperature to a high degree.
Oh, cool.
Winters are still nuts, but not like minus 40 to minus 50 every fucking day for 6 months. Although, like, to all the climate deniers, like the temperatures in Yellowknife, in my hometown, have been going up. And like the way I process it as a kid, I'm like, you know, you guys have to deal with like minus 25 to minus 35 for like a few months. It was minus 36 for 9 months. Like, I just do the walking uphill both ways in the snow argument, right? But for me, it's real. God damn it. No, it's like, it's canary in a coal mine shit. Like shit's fucking super weird at the polls now. But anyway, I don't know. We can rant about this for another 6 hours, but like,
it's prices, like Philly's being like developed right now. It seems like a lot of money is coming into our city, like, because New York is completely saturated at this point, and Philly, like, I mean, we're 2 hours out of New York City, so like it's beginning to like explode,
almost like a suburb at that point.
And I like said to my wife a few years ago, I was like, you know, like, this is conspiracy theory to the nth degree, but on the progressive side, I wonder if like rich people are thinking, you know what, we're not going to get this climate under control. Let's start developing in the cities that are going to be above water in 50 years. Philly would be above water,
like,
and
so
right on the coast.
Seriously, Andrew Yang basically like came out and said this, right? He's like, hey, like, we're gonna have to move inland, and everyone was like, oh, you're crazy, blah. And you're like, well, okay, you hate data, that's fine, but like, that's, you know, and again, like, I mean, and he found out, of course, because thinking about political terms in anything other than like a fourth grade level, to the point where, you know, you're only talking about what's going to happen 5 seconds from now. Not that the American electorate is deeply, deeply ignorant, but they are. They'll vote against their own best interests for any reason. Like, any reason will do.
You're speaking to the choir,
or the choir over here.
The heathens that don't go to church. I don't know what you call us at this point.
I'm still like, I spent 5 years podcasting about American politics, and I'm still trying to recover. Like, it's
my wife teaches AP Gov at an all boys prep school in the city.
Oh my!
So it's interesting, to say the least.
I can only imagine. Yeah. All right, hey, let's do some gratitudes and cleanse our palate.
Well, and some introductions for anyone who might not know. So NFTjoe he's a teacher, or he was a teacher.
Past tense.
He quit his job because some brilliant people over at Metacollect, well, now Metacollect, which was the Undrgrnd, saw the potential in what he was doing with art and the space and the podcast that you were doing, and they offered to pay you money to do what you love doing. I mean, imagine that.
That is a very confusing concept, to be paid for something that you just enjoy doing, which is bizarre. Like, you see all these things. I don't know if you guys know the subreddit. And there was a big thing a few months ago, the anti-work subreddit, where it's about, like, you know, workers' rights and things like that, and how, like, you know, there's this idea going around that, like, nobody wants to work, and it's not that nobody wants to work. Nobody wants to work. People want to be happier doing what they love. And, you know, teaching, I enjoyed it. I do like interacting with kids. Like, I was going to be an emotional support teacher. Because I mean, those kids speak my language. They're just more mature and fun than kids that are just, you know, grade grubbing all the time.
I'm laughing because I think the first time that you were ever on our show, or maybe with Sean, he was talking about like how the shows that you were doing with the artists, they became like self-help things in a
Yes.
way. Like,
Yeah.
so that's great.
Yes. Yeah, it's
awesome.
we've come a long way from
If,
that point.
There's a whole industry built around that. Like, right? If you can't help yourself, go help others. At least you get paid for it, right?
Yeah, but yeah, and then
I mean, Austin Liddy, although he's helping himself as well.
Yeah,
great article, by the way. Thanks for putting that up. It's the little.
It was a great interview, actually, about metaverse real estate, which is really cool. But yeah, let's get the gratitudes. I love having Joe on because it's always good to talk. I'd like to go first, actually. I'm grateful for Metacollect. That's my first one. I'm going to do 3 today, Corey.
You say Metacollect?
Metacollect, yes. So that's the larger umbrella of crypto finnies, the Mongs, Undrgrnd, and the Crunks, and a bunch of other stuff that they're doing. They're opening a gallery, a real life like metaverse, a real life NFT gallery in Australia. I mean, they went a little bit nuts, and they're doing crazy stuff with like memes and comics, and it's great. And I love being over there.
Sean and I were just talking.
My second gratitude is I'm extremely grateful for Sean Blanc. I don't know how I met him, but he is by far one of my favorite people in the world. He's just an amazing human being. He comes across as like tough ass, but he's just a little cuddly bear, really. And third, I'm grateful for Undiscovered Paths with NFTjoe. Because whenever you come on here, we end up talking about some really interesting things. Like, one of 5 people that we have no idea where we're going with.
That's 100% true. Yeah, I was just talking to Sean yesterday about because we bought the Bored Ape and like all the stuff that we're doing and building the gallery. And I said to him, I was like, could you imagine spending this kind of money this time last year? Like, right. It's just insane what we're doing, and we are just going for it, which is fun. It's terrifying, but we all have things that we can fall back on and doing. Like, I can go back to teaching any day that I want, so you might as well go for broke, which is still terrifying no matter how you look at it.
No, I think so that reminds me of this. Tim Ferriss actually did a TED Talk on fear setting.
Yeah.
Right. And it's kind of that thing where, you basically break down, if you're thinking about trying a big thing, because most people won't, right? Like, let's face facts. Like, if you're faced with a huge opportunity, most people are going to fucking whiff on it and stay safe. Mm-hmm. And the real way to make that move. And again, like the fear setting TED Talk, if you haven't listened to it, like I revisit it fairly often, actually. It basically goes through like, what's the actual worst thing that can happen? Like, actually map that out. This doesn't work. It fails spectacularly. What does your life look like? Right? Is it a catastrophe, or is it what it looked like 6 months ago? Because like 6 months ago wasn't that bad, right? Like, you are right. Because now, like, we've catapulted into these like ridiculously amazing situations, and I think like just setting that frame or that context lets us look at it with, I think, a lot more. Or a lot less fear, frankly, right? Like it's just like, fuck it, who gives a shit? Might as well try it. Like, what even if it all goes wrong, like, we probably learned something.
It's true. It's and this is one of the things, like, I get like jealous of people with money, because that reduces your like level of fear when taking 100%. Risk. Because like suddenly it's like, oh yeah, of course I'm going to take this chance. Like Mark Cuban, of course I'm going to be investing in these things and just like try it. Like, I have a safe haven to fall back on, which is, I'm jealous of that, because, that is just a level of creativity, like, being stifled when you do live in that fear.
It's funny, you're gonna bring up Andrew Yang for the second time today. Like that, like, there's a lot of arguments for UBI. To me, that's the best.
Yes. Yep.
The number of shots that don't get taken because people don't have. It's like, I've always been lucky as fuck, right? Like, white in North America, number one.
Yep.
And but my parents, like, we were like middle class, right? Ended up going shit towards the end or whatever, but like I never really wanted for anything, right? And that, I think that even the psychology of that sets you up to think about that. And like, I renounced all that and lived in a bus for 5 years, whatever it is. But that, I had the opportunity to do that, like the mindset to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I think we're actually doing a disservice to humanity by not figuring out how to get as many human brains in that situation as humanly possible. Like, how many Einsteins are we missing, right? How many Marie Curies are we missing?
Yep.
Like dozens a year.
Yep.
Like at least.
Dozens, maybe 5.
Maybe.
But
I mean,
it's true. It's true. Like those brains would be worth it. Yeah. Right. Like those 5 people could change everything. And that's what, I mean, I love working with Sean and Kenny because of that, because like Sean is very creative, and not in the sense, like, I don't think I'm artistic, but I am very creative. Like you said, like, we don't know where this conversation is going to go. And that's because like my brain can just like go on these tangential things and connect all these dots and stuff. Like, we can talk about politics, we can do all this stuff. And that's what I love about working in this space, is that, like, we had a conversation the other day about the website, and Sean just mentioned this like tiny little thing. It was just like, oh, we just like make a little upvote thing. And then from that, I was like, no, this is how we gamify curation on our website and get people to like be interactive and become a part of it and actually do it, because we don't want to build just a platform. There's always, I mean, we're all old enough to remember build it and they will come, like from Field of Dreams. And that's not at all what we want to do with the website. We don't want to just build something that everybody's building. We want to actually like push the envelope and be innovative. And that is that creativity that, you're right, is just missing, that people like are like, oh yeah, we just build a website and we just like do it because this is fun. But like, no, there are so many things. Like, it's just an open landscape for whatever you can consciously come up with. And that is what I love about all of this.
Yeah. Amen. Sorry, I was listening to Gary V that thing about community and NFTs or whatever. And you know, obviously, like that anytime, like, we're all in it, right? But if you ever find your passion for the ecosystem that we're in waning, just go listen to Gary V for like 10 minutes. The guy's like, it's fun. But he's talking about, you know, and this is mostly, I think, on Ethereum, but, you know, on Wax, even with the play to earn stuff, which I think is going to have a different sort of arc. Not always. He's basically saying 99% of the stuff on you know, Ethereum's going to fail, and he's right. Yep. Right, like the number of PFP projects that are out there, like they're going to drop another 50 today, whatever. Right, like they're all over the place. Amazing, you know, time to be in that, you know, thing. If you can get like a little bit of momentum, you could do ridiculous numbers. But he's talking about like the NFT winter's coming, right? This is like 1999 tech stocks, right? And you know, you basically throw a dart at the wall on Ethereum, and to, you know, some extent still on the, you know, NFTs on Wax on the larger projects, and you know, you might do well in the short run, right? And he's talking about like the projects that are planning on building value. And Uplift, we talk about this constantly, right? Like, I had a 2-hour conversation with Telos yesterday about, you know, specifically about all the things that our previous management did not do and didn't even think about doing. About preparing for NFT winter, about preparing for when the bottom falls out of the crypto market, which it hasn't, right? And I don't actually think it will. For like, I think we might actually do pretty well this year. We'll find out. Who knows, right?
Right.
But that, like, and the people, exactly that the passion that you guys have, and I've always had, because we've been watching you guys for a long time, right? Like, you're constantly trying to push the boundaries, build different ways to create value for those things. Because then, you know, like, it all comes down to demand, right? Like, why are people buying things on the secondary market from, you know, like, why are they buying a Finny 2 years from now, like an old one? Why? You guys are going to figure that out, right? Like, you know, applying value and network effect and, you know, business opportunities and economy to everything in the Uplift. Like, that's something that's all we do, right? And this isn't for like what the price is going to be next month. This is for what the price is going to be in 10 years.
Right.
Well, and like, we'll dive into this later, but I think, you know, you hit on it when you were talking about you're doing something different. And I think the way that you guys, and you know, Corey and I, when we met with Kenny and Sean that very first time, we just liked what you know, what is now Metacollect, what Finny, great writer at the time, they stood for, right? And they're empowering people, right? And they're empowering people to, make a wage doing what they want to do, whether it's writing, whether it's art curation, whether it's NFT creation. Like you guys are going around and finding great artists, writing about them, buying up their work and giving them out to holders, right? Like that's your business model, and it's much bigger than that, but that's nothing that anybody else is doing. Everybody else is creating NFTs or selling NFTs and getting people to buy their shit. You're not doing that. You guys are buying other people's stuff and you're giving it to members. Yep. And that's in itself groundbreaking, in my opinion. Anyway.
So what are you grateful for?
Me? I'm grateful for the people that I work with. I don't think I say it enough. Like when I first got into space, I was able to have like long, like engaging conversations with people. And now I don't have the time to do it. This is a full-time job and I have a 2-year-old. So I'm a suburban mom trying to have it all right now, a career and a family. So I grateful.
If my daughter ever watches this show back, I'm good. You know, this is for my daughter, fucking 2-year-old. God damn it.
Right? That's exactly.
Oh man.
I just said that to someone the other day because something I like stress about all the time. Like you said, like we buy art from artists and we partner with them and we give things away to people. The thing that is like most important to me is that I pay people on time. Like that's something that always like drove me nuts. I've been on the other end of that. Like I never grew up with money or anything, but you never like money always creates this strange dynamic between people. Like you do something and then like someone forgets about it and you're like, do I want to be a jerk and like push them to get paid, or do I want to save the relationship? It's always, so I never wanted anyone to be in that position to like not be able to come to me and be like, hey, could you pay me? So I like to pay right as soon as something's done for me. And like I waited a day or two just because like that's how it worked this week with my daughter. And I told them, I said, sorry, it's been a crazy 2 days. She hasn't been sleeping, so I have like no free time right now. But she doesn't seem to understand how important it is what we're working on. So maybe in 10 years when we're all rich, I'll be able to explain to her what it is we've been working on for so long.
Yeah, it's funny though, right? Like, because like, so my daughter did this thing the other day, which is hilarious. And maybe you have a similar story, but she was sitting at her high chair. It's our high chair because that's where I put my mic when we do the show because she's gone to bed. But she was sitting at the high chair and she's going like this on the table of the high chair. And my missus looks at her and says, "Hey, what are you doing?" And she said in Japanese, she said, "Daddy mitai." And that basically means like I'm being like daddy. And she said it, and so my missus called me and she asked her again. She's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And she said, "I'm being like daddy." But she said it without moving, her head staring straight forward. And I'm like, wow, the amount of time that I ignore my daughter to get my work done, right? And like, it's really interesting. What are they going to think about in 10 years, right? Like when they're watching this back, they're just going to be like, wow, my dad was,
dork.
He was a weirdo, man. Like he's on the internet, he's doing this thing with like Uncle Corey. Like I don't like what's happening, right? Like, but they're gonna look back and they're gonna be like, these are the people who built essentially the first metaverse on Minecraft that is mapped to NFTs. This is the guy who was the founding team of Undrgrnd, who
I don't think that my daughter's ever going to be that impressed with anything I do. She's already like putting me in my place and knows she runs the house, but she does the same. She does the same thing. Like she wants to come in here in the office and sit in my wife's chair, sit in my chair, and then she'll go like, "Daddy, I'm doing work too." And then just start banging on my keyboard. And then when she gets mad at me and doesn't want me around, she's just says that, "Daddy, go do work. And I'm like, oh God. But yeah, like I think about it every night. At the same time, we are going to have flexibility and free time, hopefully in a year or two. And like she's going to be going to school, obviously, soon. So we'll have that free time to work during the day. And then I hope we can shut it down at night and actually spend time that she'll remember together. that is the only way I am getting through these months right now.
You know, it's funny because I said the exact same thing to Corey. I said my whole impetus, because Japan is great. You guys were talking about money and stuff earlier, which I think is quite interesting because, like, especially in North America, I was talking to somebody about this yesterday. We live in this you know, society where everyone is like, they've got all of these things, but they don't own any of it because it's all debt. It's all, you know, mortgages from the bank, and, you know, loans for the car. And what's really interesting to me is that everyone's being pushed towards like Wall Street and these big money. Now things are starting to change, but these big money jobs, like through education and institutions, and you know, you mentioned the next Einstein. Like, I'm more interested in the next Van Gogh or the next, you know, like artist or these people who are going to curate a creative culture. Because in my opinion, that's what we're missing. We're missing writers, we're missing artists, we're missing these like non-science and tech people. And I'm not bashing on science and tech people, but that's part of our culture. That's part of life. And we see this in a lot of the artists that you guys bring forward with the Undrgrnd. They're from all over the world. And I would say, like, some of my favorites are unknown artists from, like, you know, the backwaters of South America or Southeast Asia or Africa. And they grew up having art and culture as part of their lifestyle, their street culture, right? And that is something that we miss in North America. In my personal opinion. So I think, like, it's kind of, you know, but how many times have I said to Corey, like, my whole impetus for moving away from this country, that, like, almost everyone has savings in this country, right? There's a few people that are in debt, right? But, like, my whole impetus is just so that I don't have to work at night anmore. Right?
Yeah,
I need to get to a place where I can work in the daytime. But speaking of which, I want to throw a couple things out. Like, let's switch it up, because we got to get over to what you guys are doing at Undrgrnd. And Corey's having a lot of fun here in Mella's giant treehouse, which is
I haven't been here yet.
Yeah, it's a pretty epic treehouse. So we've got
yoga.
We've got a backstory here of Undrgrnd. Now, if you could explain to us, what is Undrgrnd and how does it empower artists? Because people might not know this. You guys are across 5 different blockchains, I believe.
That was the initial plan. We had some setbacks with the platforms that we were partnering with, that it's not conducive to featuring art. So rather than smash a square into a circle peg hole, we're focused on Telos right now. It's very easy to just make a place for yourself there. And that's where a lot of the art that we're buying and a lot of the artists that we're partnering with are discovering. So right now it's on Telos. The plan is to expand to Ethereum, EOS first, probably in Wax, and then Terra. So that would be 5. Yeah, Ethereum, Terra. But rather than partner with platforms, we're just going to be doing it ourselves instead. So it'll take longer, but it'll set us up for the long run and the long haul, and that's what it is about more than anything else. We don't love having to do everything ourselves, obviously. Like, I think we all have the mindset that it takes all of us working together to get there, but sometimes it's just not everyone is going the same path as us, and everyone is chasing, you know, PFP projects and you know, generative things of that nature with utilities and stuff. But, you know, which the money is there right now, but like we said, 99% of those projects will fail. And Jimmy, you said about looking for the next Van Gogh and everything. We're in an art renaissance, essentially. And if you look at history, when the last renaissance was, whatever, 600, 700 years ago, whatever it was. My art history isn't great. But that happened right after the Dark Ages and the Black Plague in Europe. And then, you know, all of a sudden, like, it was like this mist lifted and people were like, yes, let's just like create and we're happy. Like, let's come up with all these crazy ideas. We don't want to live like this anymore. And that's kind of what's happening now. We've had this global setback, and now here comes blockchain, here comes NFTs, and artists now are being empowered by, dollars and cents, and we're actually appreciating them with our money. And because there's the ability to resell it and there's a secondary market, it's actually a solid investment for people that were kept out of the art market just because of funds. So I see you're looking through Undrgrnd digs now.
Yeah, well, this is one of the few series that I actually do keep tabs on, because I like it, the way that you guys put together this content on your website, where you go through 5 or 6 artists occasionally, and you showcase their work. I think it's really cool. It's kind of like a gallery in itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So explain to us how, like, you guys actually search these artists out. How do you find them, and then what do you do with their NFTs?
So basically, the idea was, because this is how, like, I was spending my free time when I got into the space. When Hen came up, like, it's easier if you've been in crypto for a while, like since 2018, you got in early, so you have a lot of crypto to, like, just speculate and buy things and buy it because you like it. But I got in, I still consider it late because I got in January of last year. So, like, $500 here and $1,000 there, it becomes expensive, and you can't, like, just buy things just because you love it. You want to be, like, careful with that money. But, like, Hen came along, and, like, the price point was a lot lower. So, like, I just started digging around, and you follow an artist, you're like, yeah, I like their work. But then you can click on and see what they're collecting, and you start to, like, just go down this rabbit hole of art. And next thing you know, 3 hours are gone, and you've just been staring at this stuff for hours. So that idea of digging kind of brought about Undrgrnd and Undrgrnd digs, where we go through, we find artists we have, like, vague parameters of what an Undrgrnd artist is, but, like, we like to look for artists that have a small following, haven't reached a big platform yet.
Just hawk that damn movie.
Shut up, Sean. God, thanks, Sean. I lost my train of thought. We go through, we find artists with a small following and a price point that is affordable, so anyone can become a collector. And because that's something that Edda, who is involved with Undrgrnd, talks about a lot. There aren't enough collectors. We've got this plethora of artists, but there aren't enough people that are collecting and spending money on artists. So it's a lot of artists becoming art collectors, which is great because they can make secondary income on investing in other artists too. But we need more people that just appreciate art coming in and buying art as well too. So we go through, we find this stuff that's affordable, artists that have a small following that haven't gotten to, say, like, super rare Nifty Gateway for sure, and we write about them because how do artists really, like, make a name for themselves in this space? You mint something, and we all come into the space thinking, all right, in a month I'm going to be rich, I'm going to be a millionaire, I'm going to have 50.
Wait, that's not true?
It's not true at all. Shit. I don't know if you've been waiting for that.
It's been 15 months now, but every month hope springs eternal.
Right? Like, I got into this space so I didn't have to work. Right. Like, and now I am constantly stressed. It is a lot of work. Which is great because it can become a career, and we're in this for the long haul. But you start to find these artists, you feature them, you write about them. We have a budget to buy art from them, and we buy art from the artists that we feature in these weekly Undrgrnd digs. Then we also commission a piece of work from them to drop to our membership card holders. So it's great to write about artists. A lot of people have a lot of newsletters out there. NFT influencers, artists are extremely grateful for when they get that, larger platform from someone with 300,000 followers. A retweet goes a very long way, but that is at the will of the algorithm and doesn't put the person's work into context. And that's something that is missing from everything. So rather than being reliant on these NFT influencers finding you, we're trying to build something where, we can all become our own influencers, or we have this, because that's the other thing artists don't like to do. They don't like selling themselves. It's very, I don't know. I guess the negative connotation would be like it becomes like egotistical or narcissistic, saying like, yes, buy my work. What if we create this platform where it is, selling artists to other people and saying, yes, this is why you need to appreciate them. And that's what Undrgrnd can do. And if we group all these small artists around this idea of helping each other and selling each other's work and spreading it all out through drops, through weekly features, and we start to build this collective, then our impact becomes greater. And then one tweet from the Undrgrnd Twitter can shift the market and be like, yes, look at this artist with 700 followers and art for 5 TES, which is like $20. Go buy it, and then boom.
I gotta check and make sure that my Telos is valid, because I don't even know. I haven't been in there since the day that I created it. Now you guys are doing something else that's really cool, which is you're creating this kind of new kind of standard in the space, and what it's going to be is it's going to be a new Undrgrnd marketplace, and you're going to be able to have people are going to be able to come in and actually mint their NFTs on the platform, which I think is really exciting. So we're just going to go through this kind of demo video here so that you guys can see what it looks like. It's super simple, right? Like you'll be able to log in, you'll be able to see all the NFTs that you have. I love that sandbox avatar, by the way. Some pretty amazing art here from the Metacollect team. You can explore, you can mint. We did a test mint case of the Swingin' Jimmy D crunk over on our show, mine and Sean's show, but it didn't quite work. Not really sure why, which was really funny because Jimmy D doesn't like to mint. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty straightforward, and I know you guys have put a lot of work into it. Do you have anything to say on when this will be live and what it will do for the whole Undrgrnd brand?
I wish I had a date in mind. I wanted this, I don't know, August. A lot of things had to go right and still have to go right. Could be a month, could be 2 months more. But it's definitely going to be, summer is going to be a big time. We still need to get our hands on it, start testing it. And then we have to start onboarding some of the artists that we have partnered with to work on it. Again, the idea was always to put a publication with a marketplace to it, because like everyone can build a marketplace like this and artists get like a paragraph or 180 characters to write about their work. But what if you paired writers with artists and gave like a more broad overview of them as an artist, their work, or a deeper analysis on one of their works? And I
mean, that's what's, and again, like I'm the farthest from like an art NFT expert. It's not my scene. I'm totally ignorant, but from the outside, it seems to me that the story is the thing, right? The story and the connection and the network, like that's, I mean, and the art itself, obviously, right? If it's cool, it's cool. If it speaks to you, it speaks to you. And that can have a long lasting effect. But I mean, there's going to be tons of artists with really, really beautiful art that go to zero, like guaranteed, because no one gives a fuck. Right. And that through that writing and that storytelling and that narrative crafting, I think that just, that's going to work, right?
Yeah.
It has to work.
One of the guys from Shark Tank, I don't watch the show, but I saw a clip of it, said that if you had asked him 5 years ago what people should go to college for, he would have said engineering. Now he's saying, maybe go for philosophy or English or creative writing, because now the mindset is changing and you need people to write a narrative or help create a story, because that is what is connecting people, and in his mind, what pulls money out of their pocket and put it over here. But it's true, you need a story along with it, and you need context, and you need people that can appreciate it. Like, because my background isn't in art, it is in literature and writing. So I might not understand the art history aspect of it. I know enough to get by. There are other people that do know enough about art history and went to school for it that we partner with. So we do all that stuff to help create a cohesive idea around all the work. And if we stop at just, here's artwork we can mint, we have a marketplace, here's a publication where we feature and we curate from that stuff, that's a new and different marketplace on its own that nobody is doing in itself. But we don't want to stop there. We have the membership card. We have all of these ideas to build utility in the website with our membership card on the platform, where, we can, because of the collect token, we can start, what if we started staking? You could stake your membership card with an artist, and the revenue that artist brings in, what if, since you're a top collector and you're staking yourself to that artist, what if you could earn a portion of the revenue that they bring in collect tokens, and then use that on the platform for discounts on buying NFTs and such? What if, we talked this.
Are you giving away all your alpha now? Because this sounds pretty freaking amazing.
Yeah, and Sean gets mad at me because the problem is finding that balance between, okay, what do I tell people? What do I keep to myself? This stuff takes time to build, and there are people out there that already have the money and have a developer, and they're like, oh, that's a great idea, let's just go do that. I want to save all of these good ideas, and we don't usually say something until it's imminent, but we do have all of these, I think, innovative genius ideas. And it's one thing I hate just saying vague terms like that, and hyperbolic phrases oh, this is genius, this is going to be game changing. I want to just tell you what the idea is, and then people will be like, oh, right, that is pretty genius.
Corey's funny sometimes because he sends me DMs and he's like, do you know if this is actually a thing that they're doing, or is this the thing that they're talking about right now? We're live on this show, which is really good. I like it. Two English teachers, going back to what you said, two English majors and a philosopher. Right. Suck on that, Ryan Reynolds. If you didn't get that reference, you're not a real Ryan Reynolds fan. Now, Corey and I, I think maybe we almost never get mad at each other. Never get angry at each other. But I'm gonna go out on a limb.
I only remember one time you got mad at me, and it made total sense. It was when all those events were going on, and I popped in the show a bunch of times, and I was totally fucking checked out. I shouldn't have been there.
Yeah, well, fair enough. I mean, at one time that you got mad at me, I was totally out of line too. So that's fair, right? But we never do this, right? We have business meetings. But I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and if you don't like it, then fuck it. We got a sale coming up, and I will go and I will buy another piece of flipping land, and I will comp our Uplifter show plot with that. But what I think we need to do, just because I love everything that the Undrgrnd is doing and Metacollect is doing, I think we need to put up on one of the surrounding plots of Uplifters Tower a gallery, because I think a Metacollect gallery that does something like this, Joe, is definitely needed so that we can swing by and see it every single flipping day. No, I mean, you can see the size of that cube. That's pretty flippin' small. All things considered, actually. And yeah, like sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Corey.
You're good.
I feel like that could have used a little of an introduction. I was like, oh no, is this on purpose? Did I do something?
No, but like this is like where we put up the gratitudes. Corey and I have been talking. We've got the surrounding plots, and we want to do some cool stuff with art. And so I want to propose to Corey here live that maybe we build the Undrgrnd gallery there, and I'll comp some Upliftium for the art, and maybe we can get a really cool builder to come in and just have that somewhere outside of Uplifters Tower. I mean, we've been Corey, more than a year, right?
Yeah, we definitely have that. Like TC has that thing to go in the network hub, and you know, I'd love to see, to your point, like that whole thing surrounded by like just our most epic friends, right? Like the coolest thing about the hub, and that's where we were just walking. Like went downstairs and went through TC's hub or whatever, and you can see the entire ground floor is just set up for 50 fucking portals, right? And you know, like I need to collect, you know, connect, you know, my builds in Genesis, the couple that are there to it or whatever. But then like we're building for the future, right? And I think being surrounded by the connectors and the people that are going to be building in this space for a really, really long time just makes sense to me. I love that idea.
Yeah, we have enough artists. We're about to hit I remember when we first started talking about this, and when I was like numbering the articles, there were 3 digits there to fill in, and if you do 5 artists a week, we're approaching the 20th week of doing Undrgrnd digs. We're about to hit 100 artists that we featured. We've got enough, and I buy art every week from them. I've got more than enough stuff to showcase.
Well, and we've been doing this idea too that we've been playing around with that hasn't really gotten, you know, gaslighted yet, because we're, you know, under so much other things that we have to, you know, push out in the next couple weeks. But one of the ideas that we have for our blog is actually to take an image, the cover image, and slap a QR code on it and put it up in the Uplift. So when people are walking around in the metaverse, they can scan that QR code and it reverts right back to your article. So like maybe your digs articles or something like that, there could be featured posts, and it's like, again, TC's in the comments, but he always says this. He's like, you know, this is the new internet, right? And I'm kind of coming around to that idea, right? Like if you're walking around in a metaverse and you pull out your phone and you scan a QR code, which Corey does regularly on this show at least 5 times a week, right? And that takes you to a website that's driving, you know, SEO, that's driving organic searches, that's taking people to that place where they need to be. And I mean, you know, more so than even in the real world. Like how many times are we walking through a shop and we pull out our phone to check the price of something, right? And how long does that take? Yeah, and it's kind of annoying, but what if you could just like pull out your phone and scan a QR code that's on the item, and it would show you the cheapest item that's listed on Amazon, right? Like now when you meld that into like an artistic experience, right? Like an all immersive experience where people are walking through and looking at art. I mean, like Corey and I have, Gary, by the way, the architect, has been making the DAO art-worthy videos, and they're all brilliant, right? Like but even the brilliance of that video is kind of underwhelming to the actual experience of when you're in that place walking around and moving the camera yourself, right?
Yeah, like it's amazing. It's always been amazing to me how quickly in our sort of blocky Minecraftian universe that the blockiness goes away and you get that real feeling of presence. It just and I think like I don't know how long it takes for people, but it definitely, like now I don't even notice. This is just the place, and I wonder if it's just because there's so much sort of encoded culture just for me personally, right? Like we've got so many, you know, epic things, and I sort of like get to see the larger pattern of all the different communities that are plugging in, all the different personalities that are plugging in, or whatever. I don't know, but it's kind of amazeballs. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, let's figure it out. The only problem with Metacollect, really, well, I mean, other than, I should invite. Well, it's kind of nice, but the only problem with Metacollect, really, is that you guys don't really have a builder anymore. And your old builder was amazing. The one who did Shift City, right? Like that guy took an image and went through and built the whole flipping thing.
It was nuts.
We have a video for that too.
Well, and in that gallery should like why we don't have a portal there. That seems like a total missed opportunity, right? So like in that gallery, we should like just automatically have a portal that wins out there. Right. So again, like I'd love to see a path, and Jimmy and I talked about this. I'd love to see a path that kind of runs, from the tub gallery above the water or what have you. Right. We want to keep, the above as pristine as humanly possible, like around the two towers or whatever. So we want, I'd like to have people building, underground or maybe like, way up higher something, just because like eventually it's all just going to be a really super dense cityscape, right? I mean, we want to keep as many open spaces as possible, but like having a path that goes kind of all the way around that circle of entities that are pieces of land that we have, with galleries like the one for the Undrgrnd, and we've got room for probably 18 more, but then has portals to whatever builds they have going on or whatever networks they're creating in Genesis, and then eventually throughout the rest of the world.
All right, well, it's settled then.
Make it happen.
Episode where Corey and Jimmy didn't kill each other. Another one.
Those are always a victory. Like every single one for a year and a bit now. No one's died yet.
Yeah, I guess we'll need a builder because I don't have time to do that. So if any of you out there in the space want to help, and
just hire TC.
Right. Yeah, we could hire TC too. That would be good too, because TC, those guys swamp it out. But I would love you guys to be the first, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's probably the first time you've ever heard that before.
Thanks.
Sorry, man. I just I've been so nice all day, and I just had to throw one in there for our good friend. Everyone. Right. So TC said he's in, so I'll put you in contact. But yeah, I mean, we'll donate the plot, and we'll get that out there, because Corey and I have been doing shows. We're gonna have to talk about that with the Metacollect people too.
Yeah, the less I have to do, the better. Always, obviously, because my time it just keeps disappearing.
Well, I think realistically, all you would have to do is just decide which artist you wanted to feature, and then we could throw the art up on the walls. We can.
That's easy. Yeah, it's an easy decision to make.
So I mean, there's so many possibilities. That was really cool. It was a really cool art. Do you want to see one more while we're here?
Yeah, we can do that.
Are you a Star Wars fan by chance?
Past tense. I was. I hate the new ones.
This might rejuvenate your. I don't know. This might rejuvenate your interest. Now I don't show our stuff nearly as much as I should, but I'm gonna, start more because again, one of my favorite things, and I'm not a Minecrafter. I never played Minecraft before. We got into the Uplift World, and Corey didn't really, until he got killed in Fortnite too many times.
That's just true.
and
how do you guys have time to play video games?
Well, we don't really
Yeah, nowhere near enough.
Right?
all of the cathedral, all of my builds, except for the tree farm. Well, I guess in the tower, the biggest thing for that I've been building, obviously the gratitude towers or whatever. Except Gary built the other one. I don't know, the cool one. That's all complex and crazy. That's our team tower. I had nothing to do with that except for digging out the basement. They're just organic, right? Every time we do a show, just while we're on the show, I'll add to it a little bit or whatever. But I mean, the Cathedral 2.0, which is I think my biggest build, I was all a few weeks before we even opened, right? There's just no time for that now. It's building the business too much.
And what I like about those galleries is that, I haven't built anything since the Jenner EOS Island, really, and that's a year ago, easily. what I like about those galleries is that you could throw a space of place in there, right? It's not just pictures on a wall, right? Corey mentioned this in the Austin Linney interview. The way that the game works together with the art, I think, is really fascinating. Right. And I could envision for the Undrgrnd gallery, right? Floors or different rooms that are laid out by continent or by artist style or by city. Mm-hmm. It would be really cool. So I mean, I get to say this and I get to shill two of my favorite projects that I'm a part of. Cause go to the Metacollect Discord and my name is on there. It's one of the team members, even though I don't really do that much. Right. But bringing that connection together. Corey and I have been doing the shows over there for a long time. Sean's, as I said, one of my favorite people, and we've had this thing, and I just want to really bring it. I'm gonna be quiet now because people are gonna get annoyed that I'm just shilling this partnership way too much.
Yeah, the continent idea is an interesting idea. One of the people that we partner with who writes for us and keeps us afloat with a lot of great artists is it's a Twitter handle, NFT Indonesia. Really, it was started just to highlight Indonesian artists on Twitter, and since I started following them, I don't know, probably over the summer, they've gone from 2,000 some followers. They've got over 20,000 followers now, and they write for us, and all they do is find artists for us to partner with, write and feature them, and it's great. I would like to do that, and I'm finding other established groups to do that throughout Twitter right now, because that's what artists do. They try to build in these communities that showcase them, and it seems to be going by continent or country right now is where the most growth happens, it seems. So that would be cool. I would have, NFT Indonesia and the people I've become friends with, Zortan and his wife, who is a phenomenal writer. There's a definite language barrier between us, and the fact that she has the ability to translate it into English and write these beautiful, thoughtful, deep ideas is just mind-blowing. Every time I get something sent to me, I'm just amazed and so appreciative that I get to work with them. But that would be our biggest continent, if you did do something like that right now, because they are working every day, and we do weekly drops to the membership cards. So I have enough. I could stop today, stop looking, for artists and just shut it down completely, and we wouldn't run out of art until probably August. That's how much we have,
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's great.
Yeah. So if you could just touch on the membership card, what is it? How do people get one, and what does it give you?
I give them away for free. We have some giveaways in the Discord, mostly on Twitter, because that is where the biggest impact is right now. The plan is we have it on Telos right now. We'll have one on Wax, on EOS, Terra, and ETH, and then we'll start doing drops on those once the platforms build. Like I said before, there aren't art-focused platforms on Wax, EOS, or Terra right now. It's not suitable for, like, I've been shut down by artists that I've wanted to partner with before we started all of this. When I said, yeah, we want a minute on Wax and EOS on Atomic Hub, and they're like, that aesthetic doesn't work for me.
Yeah, this is a really hot debate on Sean and I have been talking about this for the last 2 or 3 weeks on the Edge. We'll be going live regularly on Friday, by the way. Sean and I, we did port to Tuesday because of my schedule, but definitely check us out probably around 10 or 11 Eastern Standard Time on a weekly basis on Friday over on the Twitch of the Crypto Writer Metacollect podcast network. But yeah, it's a hot debate. Where do you launch this marketplace first, right? And
we spent an hour and a half talking about that yesterday.
No, but I'm with you, right? Like I know where the ideology is. Like it doesn't exist on EOS, and it would be nice to be the first. But like I'm kind of on the opposite side of that. Is like, well, it doesn't exist on EOS because like nobody's paying attention to it. So why don't you go where people are paying attention? Corey and I have been having very similar, talks about where we go from here with the metaverse, and I think it's a big thing, right? Like, I mean, you can. You can have a lot of different arguments, but I mean, if you want to sustain your project, I mean, you need to kind of follow where the money is, right?
Yeah, here's my
where
thought.
The artists are.
My thought on it is, if there's artists on Wax on Atomic Hub already, because that's the only place where they can mint, unless you're big enough to be able to get onto Legend. Correct me if I'm wrong. If there's any other marketplaces on Wax or EOS, you guys would know much more than I would.
Well, I don't know. Like Legend is it's pretty tailored, and I mean they do stuff on Ethereum, and they do stuff on.
But as far as like
on EOS and Wax, but I mean it's not your everyday. You're not gonna find the next great Van Gogh on Legend because they're not featuring those people. Right. Like they're...
So there's no real NFT marketplace on Wax or EOS to feature artists. And if you're an artist that knows about Wax, it's going to be an easy transition because you already know about Wax, and then you would thus know about EOS, and you would be comfortable making that switch right away if you're an artist on EOS. So yes, you can follow the money and the use on Wax, but how many people are we going to lose if we start on EOS? We're not going to lose that many because there's nothing there, and people with Wax are going to make that transition pretty easily, I think.
So I want to address this, Morton, too, because like we've had this conversation over on the Edge, and like what we're talking about is not an exclusive marketplace on Telos. What we're talking about is like, where does the marketplace get launched first? Right? It might be a month earlier or a couple weeks earlier, but eventually, I think the plan is to move to other blockchains. It's not going to be exclusive to one, right? So like, it's not a sellout. It's a debate on where do we premiere this launch? Is it channel 8 or is it channel 6 or is it channel 13? I mean, it's going to go across them all because it's going to be lifetime Prime TV. But where do we put it first? So like, just to say that, like, I don't think it's a sellout, and I would actually debate anyone who said that, because I think what Undrgrnd has done and the Metacollect team has done is they've branched across all blockchains. And I can see a future where it's very similar to what Corey and I have been talking about, and what we talked about last, a couple of days ago on the AMA. You'll be able to be in a world and you'll be able to jump through, a portal from an Ethereum NFT based world to a Terra NFT based world to a Wax NFT based world to an EOS NFT based world. I mean, that's what we're hoping someday, right? And it'll be the same with Metacollect, right? Like with Undrgrnd, you'll have artists who are coming to Telos, launching their series with Undrgrnd and realizing, holy shit, why the hell am I paying this much money when I can get it for even cheaper on Wax, right? Like, and so it's going to be that bridge that
liquidity, Sean. This is the other thing we talked about. Liquidity of Wax is difficult. Like, there is a hurdle between people getting into crypto and also a barrier between switching from Telos to another blockchain. Every artist that I mentioned, that Sean and Kenny got their roots and started in EOS, they're like, I've never even heard of it because nothing's happening on it.
Yeah.
But you could say the same thing about Telos a year ago. I had never heard of it. The only reason I even knew about it was because you could stake it on Coinbase right from the start and earn a percentage back for it. So if you have all of these barriers in place, like new people don't want to set up new wallets, and to get Wax into your wallet, you have to do a bunch of different things. It's either MoonPay or Binance has it, but not in America. You got to go through KuCoin and then transfer it, and you got to do all these different things. We're trying to make it as easy as possible. EOS is very liquid, easy to get, boom, boom, set it up. So that is like an easy transition to make.
And I think just like, I'm not sure that, I don't know, man. It just doesn't seem fair. Now, granted, like, I'm super biased. We're going multi-chain with Uplift. That was always the plan. Right? Like, and I know there was a few people that were like, oh, you're leaving Wax. No, we're fucking not. Like, most of our shit is on Wax. Right? And it always will be, right? Like that, like it's home base. But I think like if businesses, which is what this is, even if you're in art and you're creating a sense around art, you guys are a business and you guys are gonna look for opportunities to make money. If that's criminal, we should all fucking quit. Right?
I've said this multiple times.
Business. It's not a fucking happy-go-lucky picnic, but we want to in business. We want to do those things that are as magical as we can make them. That's why we're all here, right? Like, we can go by a fucking gas station, but it's really fucking boring, right? Wouldn't it be better if we can lift up a bunch of artists, go multi-chain to spread around risk and look for opportunities? Because nobody knows what this whole ecosystem is going to look like in 2 years, right? No one, right? Like, Wax could totally fucking eat shit 2 years from now. Now, I don't think it will. My heaviest bag is in Wax and probably always will be. Right? At least, as long as things look as promising as they do, right? And the branding that it has now, to Sean's point, like, maybe it is. Like, there's definitely, like, everybody in Ethereum looks down their noses at Wax or whatever, and that's fine. Like, I think that to me smells like opportunity, right? To make money.
Look,
right?
There are a lot of different ways you could look at it. That idea, one of, you don't want to make money, needs to change. And that is something that is built into the independent art scene as a whole. Like, that's why artists don't want to sell themselves. They don't want to say like, oh, it's about the money for me. Like, it's okay to make a living doing something you love. Like, money is not inherently evil. It is what you do with the money that is evil. So like, if I become a millionaire doing this, I'm going to spread it around and do a lot of fucking good with it. I'm going to invest in, like, we're talking about our entire country being underwater at some point, Corey. Like, all right, let's invest in like green energy and stuff like that. People that like care about other people with money tend to do good things. It is okay for artists to make money, and this idea that
we want them to, right? Like that's
right,
the point,
and
right?
that's the point of all of this. The other thing, cross-chain is going to be the future no matter what. Like it is inevitable. I saw a tweet the other day that Vitalik, the Ethereum guy, said that cross-chain interoperability was never the plan and isn't the plan. And someone that scared people. And I was like, I don't know why that's scaring anyone, because if anyone has that mindset, they don't see how this is going to go. We're not talking about just, everyone gets hung up on this idea of what the metaverse is. And it's just like the easy go-to is Ready Player One. You're just playing video games. It's virtual reality. It's all this stuff. It is so much bigger than just that. It is what the internet becomes. It is the next phase of the internet. So we will be doing metaverse type stuff on a different internet that isn't built and hosted on large servers. It is maintained and used by people with just regular computers and things like that. There will be large hubs of it, but you won't be able to shut down, Google servers and have downtime because there are going to be 100 other different spots where it's at. So it's just going to be the next phase of the internet. And if you're not seeing that, Wax, EOS, and all these things are just going to be interoperable, and the regular person that is now coming to the blockchain and seeing it as the new internet, they're not going to be hung up on, oh, is this on Wax or EOS? It's not going to fucking matter at all.
I totally agree. And I don't know how long that's going to take, but like it eventually all this shit gets abstracted into the back end.
Yes, exactly.
Right? Like every point of friction. And it's why, honestly, it's why there's so much opportunity now for us, because we are genuinely early, right? Sean, Web3 is Web1 reinvented, and I think that's really true. And I think, I'm glad you brought that up, both of you guys, in the way that you did, because I don't think we spent enough time thinking about the bigger picture. It's too easy for us to get bogged down. I mean, we're in a fire hose just on Wax. We're in a fire hose of new projects I can't keep up, right? Just on the Uplift World. Like, that's our fucking job. I have no clue what the most amazing build is that's been built in the last 2 months. I guarantee it. I haven't seen it yet.
Every week, someone tells me about something. Oh, did you get in on this? I'm like, no, I have no idea.
We can't, right? And that's just on one chain. And so thinking about that bigger picture multi-chain, I mean, that would break anyone's brain if you tried to think about all of it. But at the same time, like, we need to understand that the world's going to move on whether or not we get it, right? And the way technology works, guaranteed, all of these points of friction, the different chains, the different tokens, the different onboarding routes, all of that will get abstracted eventually and solved, because there's so much financial incentive for that to happen.
Yes,
right.
And this,
and 5 years from now, are just going to be in they're just going to be doing the thing, right?
And everyone has this loyalty to a chain, but there is this wave of people coming in to crypto that don't care about any of that. I am not old school about it. I've only been doing this a year. I don't like to stake my claim on anything and be diehard this or that, because at some point you're going to look really fucking stupid if you say something absolute and just, are going to die by it. You have to think
Bitcoin maximalists.
Yeah. But like, it's a reality, is that like too many people are coming into this space with differing views. And if I ever get time to write, I'm going to write the article, but there's culture wars coming to blockchain that people are going to have to face. And it was housed on this idea of being, owning your own stuff and being off the grid and all these things, which are really cool ideas. But this next wave of people coming in aren't going to be loyal to Wax, aren't going to be loyal to EOS, aren't going to be loyal to Ethereum. They don't care. And because of how the front end that people are now starting to build, and because we're now the sites that are doing the best in secondary sales, especially on art, use credit cards, some people don't even have to interact with crypto to even be a fan of NFTs or anything. So this loyalty, and it's just like brand loyalty to soda. I'm a Diet Coke person. I'm never gonna switch to Diet Pepsi.
Like if you
no one gives a shit.
It's
no one gives
tribalism.
A shit.
And it's like how sad. How like anyone here, if you're like tribe Pepsi. Like that's your life.
It's the same thing with people like posting, and I don't understand it. It's people posting their Starbucks coffee or their Dunkin' Donuts coffee in their story. I don't understand that concept.
I want to lean into it though, right? Because I like that tribalism. While I mean, I certainly make fun of it often because it gets the sort of. I mean, the maximalism thing. Like, I'm going to shitcoin. I'm speaking at shitcoins. Thank you, by the way, Ken, for getting me a spot there. It's gonna be really fun. The whole point is fuck maximalism, right? And you know, it's easy to believe in that. And that tribalism thing, it's easy to see the downside of that, right? In any tribe, because like it gets to this point where the noisiest parts of that can be the most negative, and it causes a lot of friction. But at the root cause of that is like the innate biological need, imperative for us hyper intelligent monkeys to find a place where we belong, right? And that can be a massive force for good. I mean, that's where we're trying to drive things like gratitude practice into the culture of the uplift. And really, why, like, you know, the chances are, like, we're doing this odds and ends sale, we're probably not going to release any more land on Wax for a long time, right? Like a long time. Because we're going multi-chain, and the vision that I have for it, going to Ethereum, you know, going to EOS, especially if you guys get a whole bunch of really cool projects on there and they come on our show, you know, like Telos, we haven't really even talked about, right? But there's Terra, there's like a bunch of really amazing places. There's a lot of heat there, and I want to bring that heat into our community of communities, right? Where you walk into the portal hub, the main portal hub in Old World, and you have a chance to walk into Ethereum world with 50 projects there. Or into a world based entirely on Bored Apes, or you know, like that you know, or going over to Terra because, you know, we need to make Jimmy happy, right? Like we connect the tribes, right? Like we can do it in the same place.
When you jump through the portal hub and you come from like an Ethereum based or a Terra based world to Wax, can there be a sign there that says, if you're a maximalist, that's anti-Wax, punch sign, and then a trap door opens and you fall out of the bottom?
100%.
Like can we do that?
Right? Yeah.
How many?
Like, if you're a maximalist, the gates just don't work.
Oh, never mind. I don't want to make a joke. But like, all right, to your point, how many people get their start on something like Ethereum, and how many people would be better suited being on EOS? Like how, like just the mindset.
Well, like, considering there's nothing on EOS, that number is zero.
No, zero. But, right. Okay.
But I mean, a year from now, right? And this is the thing, like getting in at the beginning, if you have a reasonable assumption that there will be 100 cool projects on EOS in a year, which isn't crazy, right? Like that you can make that bet, because it's way more fun to be, you know, in things in the beginning than, you know, when it's already too late.
The only reason people gravitated towards Tezos was because if you're a small artist, you're drowning in fees on Ethereum, and I don't care about layer 2 solutions and all that stuff. Something that you learn after a while is that it's going to be, what's the joke? It's going to be 2030. Ethereum is $5,000. Bitcoin is $100,000, and Cardano still doesn't have smart contracts. That's the joke.
What's Cardano?
Exactly. So like the only reason people gravitated towards Tezos was because like they went to OpenSea, thought they were going to make a lot of money, spent $100 just to mint one thing, and they didn't make any sales. They went to Tezos, no minting fees, and you know, they could stand out a little bit more based on a lot of different tools. How many people would have benefited from EOS? Like, that has been around for 5 years and had a head start. How many people would have benefited from that?
Well, I mean, they did on Wax,
and they did on Wax, in
right?
some
like
cases.
Wax went in and actually made something that worked.
Yes,
right.
And they've done
again,
great.
It was like standing on the shoulders of everything that got built in the infrastructure that got built on EOS.
100%.
We should, you know, give credit to all the people that did that work. You know, we have Michael from EOS USA on all the time. And he talks about that, you know, as much as we go after Block One, and we should. You know, the devs that, you know, they had hired, you know, because he was working with them as a block producer on EOS. So they were like super awesome at building that, you know, infrastructure and creating a situation that's totally anti-fragile, and Wax took all that and then just upped the game, right?
Yep. Yeah, well,
and
they
again,
moved into it, right?
Right? Like EOS is like hoping to have 10 million accounts soon. Wax like blew past that like it was stopped a long time ago, right? So like I don't think we should forget that Wax is an awesome place.
No,
and I think like the ability for artists to come on and do art on Wax, like it ultimately just ends up being attention.
Yeah, it is.
And so like if you have 100 artists and a publication and galleries and they're on Wax, it's only a matter of time before you can create the network effect and the community necessary to give those value initially, and then it's on everyone to create value long term.
Right. Well, and I think that there's two really, you know, completely opposite things that are kind of detrimental, right? Like, so you've got EOS that there's nothing there, right? And so nobody wants to be there, right? And you've got Wax where people are releasing tons of NFT collections every day. So like serious artists, their stuff gets drowned right now. Now this is potentially where Undrgrnd can make a difference. Because there's that actual site that's focused on, you know, art as opposed to just NFTs, right? But like, I think it's definitely worth noting that like, just because Wax is amazing at NFTs doesn't necessarily mean that that's where artists want to be, right? I mean, because right, if you're drowning in a sea of
collectible things,
which avatar, pixel art types of things, then right,
it's 100%. It's that's it. Like the problem is that like there's a broader scope out there, and like if you look at numbers and data, which, you know, there is money in art, whether you appreciate it, want to be a part of it or not. Hen did from March to August last year, they did $50 million just on their one site, and their sales are very small. Like their transactions of $5, $20 here and there. So to do that volume is insane.
Yeah, you're cranking.
I know what Wax is doing is I know it's I don't even know what the numbers are anymore. It's a lot. It's a lot of fun.
And I think the majority of it is in the play to earn space now. I mean, we need to right. And so like as far as like brand awareness, I know, you know, Sean is a genius. He's gonna be thinking about that stuff. And I know like we spend so much time in it, and we know artists that are on Wax, right? So like I kind of see it all, and I think, oh, we can do everything on Wax, and we can. But from an outside point of view, if you're a noob and you're like, oh, where do I want to go? And your focus is art, it's not like an immediate brand awareness jump to go to Wax.
And that's a problem. And
it's solvable. I mean, it's
very solvable. Very solvable. It's
like people coming in out of the blue and looking again for like where's their tribe? Where's the corner of the of Web3 where they want to hang out, right? Like I think that's where attention at the end of the day is the actual only currency that we're working in, which is why what you guys are doing is so fascinating, right? Like I honestly believe that you guys could do it on Wax and it wouldn't matter. Right? Like it just like because you're building that stuff out from the ground up, and you know, going multi-chain. You know, I think ignoring Wax in what you're doing would be
ignoring like. Okay, so let's use all of this concept here on Wax and EOS. Now use that idea on Terra. Terra's a top 10 coin, or Luna, whatever it is. Right. How many people know about it?
Yeah.
Like, right? Like nobody knows about it because there's NFT projects there. There's some art sites that still aren't built for artists and doesn't showcase them properly. It is, the user interface is clunky. It's like people still have the mindset of there's so much money floating around, like, and we see these giant numbers of billions of dollars and coming into this space, but it is pocketed into like these certain platforms and it's being spent on certain things. The art industry and people like that get into it still think that like, oh, I'm only going to focus on this thing. And then they hear something that like doesn't really fit into the stuff that they like. It's still good for here. And that's why like we have Finny ETH, we have them on Wax, we do art things, we do all of these different things because we know that there's all this money over here that doesn't know about this stuff here. We're so disjointed. Like we just need to have a place to start to bring all of this energy and these ideas together because it is still very tribal. And the illusion that being loyal to something and you made a great point about wanting to feel a part of something and wanting something to like basically like define you and be like early on. That was my mindset with pop punk and music in general in the early 2000s, before, you know, Spotify and all of the streaming platforms and stuff. You would go on Napster, you would look at a music blog, you would find music, download it, and then you go to school, tell your friends like, oh, you ever hear this band? No, I found it first. That is the concept behind Undrgrnd. And,
and like your gallery, right? Like we're talking about connecting the tribes in the Uplift. Like the more longer this conversation goes on, I'm like, yeah, we're right about this. We're doing it, right?
Yes. Right.
It's sort of like getting in front of what's going to happen with the technology anyway. But again, the story and the attention is all the marbles, right?
Right.
And so we're going to build that into the context, into the story of how, you know, we do these things. And, you know, what you guys are doing is just going to play a huge part in that, right? All the galleries, right? Like I bought some Ethereum art, like basically for the first time. Like Vinny was the only other NFT that I bought on Ethereum so far. And it was just because I saw stuff in the new freaking Rocket Gallery, right? Like that when you were showing me that the Earth, Fire, Water, Air thing, you know, that guy's starting a gallery in Miami, Jimmy.
I didn't know that. No.
Yeah. So like, and you got the one that I think it's the Mind NFT, whatever the fuck, that is in that thing where the beams popping out of it. I was like looking at that, and you know, we shared that video, and Rocket Gallery introduced me to the lady that's doing that art, and like I bought a couple of those, and I'm like, this is cool. But like I'm hanging out with them in 3 days.
Yep.
Right. So and like that automatic connectivity all comes from the Rocket Gallery. Right. Like I would never have seen it. And so I think like creating more and more of those pathways where people that we trust that are doing the work, and you know, Rocket Gallery is like, you know, to the nines that level, right? You guys to the hundreds are that level. Right. I don't know why, just fucking around with the numbers, but like you guys are crushing it. Right. And so like, if you guys are saying, no, this artist is fucking fantastic, here's the story around it. Like, that's really important for me. And, you know, if it happens to be in a gallery that I can, you know, walk into, I'll pay more attention to it.
Well, we have the gallery going up in Australia. That's where Kenny is. Sean said in our Discord the other day that, you know, if, you know, everything goes as planned, Miami's going to be the next place. So what I'm thinking is if it goes Australia, Miami, Philly's got to be next, right? Because that's where I'm at. So
yes,
I mean,
Philly, that
like if you guys say yes, I think Sean has to do it. So like,
yeah, just be careful with Sean, because like if Sean gives you directions from Philly to Miami, he's gonna have you like routing through like Cape Town in South Africa or something. Because like he thinks you got to go like, you know, he thinks you got to go through Europe to get to Australia. I'm not sure what's going on there. You know,
like, wait, I just saw this thing.
Really? You can go to California? I'm like, dude, get a globe. God damn it. Flat earthers.
Yeah, I have this up if you want to do that, Jimmy.
Yeah, well,
thanks for hanging out. I don't think we've done like an hour and a half show for a long time. Thank you everybody for hanging out and chatting with us all day.
Yeah, and I'm excited to have you back whenever. You know, I kind of want to go to Australia and see the gallery opening.
Yeah.
You know, I think it'd be really cool.
Do a show
how does Matt know about Kensington Ave? That's what I want to know.
I do not know.
Maybe Matt's a Philly boy. Maybe you can get some pickle juice at his shop.
Yeah. He made the point that I think we're all making is that the only thing people are loyal to is their own wallet. And that is 100% true. So like, art being brought to EOS and Wax may not be what anybody's interested in. It will affect everyone's bottom dollar, though.
Yep.
Like
I think with like the entire
play
play to earn space, I think even including Axie Infinity, which is like the hyper whale in the room, is dwarfed by the art market on Ethereum. Like dwarfed, like 2 orders of magnitude, probably. Right. So like, you know, and again, like I think I'm outside of it, so like take my opinions about the art NFT space with a giant block of salt, right? But I think when the bottom falls out of that, it's going to fall out hard, but also like it might just not, right? The number of people that are getting into the digital art space is like a tax write-off or a tax strategy, as an example.
Yeah,
epic. It's a huge part of it.
We
part of it that like I barely understand, right? So like that, those forces could be much bigger than I expect, and they could go on for a lot longer than we expect. There's just no way to know.
Yeah. So art, I do think, is transient of time, really. Like it's not affected. It's becomes timeless over, like, we've been spending, if you can figure out why we've been spending money on art since the 1400s,
right,
then you can understand why NFT art is going to work and be around forever,
like, over long enough time frames,
right?
And again, like this is where, like, you know, and Gary Vee talks about this, and he's right.
Yes.
You buy founders, not artists.
Exactly.
Right.
So we can talk about like the bottom falling out on everything, and like I do think those projects are going to like not be sustainable, but like art is going to transcend that. And some of the people and writers that like I recruit are people that are actually in the art scene. They're focused out in Dubai. My friend Jen Stelco and Anna, I forget Anna's last name. They're actually went to school for this. Were curators of art galleries in real life. Anna wrote a great article on the amount of money that is spent in the art world. Is $1 billion. I forget what the number is exactly. 1% of that, less than 1% of that was spent on NFTs. So
right.
If it is $1 billion industry that people are spending on physical art all the time, and only 1%, and I think it jumped maybe to,
I was going to say like
7 or 8% in the last year.
Just Bored Apes are, I think, in the billions.
Not even talking about Bored Apes and all the NFT projects. We're just talking about like artists. It is $1 billion being spent in real world.
Like real world. Yeah.
Real world art collectors have not figured out NFTs and still aren't trusting it. So it might have jumped last year to, 7 or 8%. That still leaves a couple $100 million out there for people to come in here. Yeah, exactly.
I think it's in the many billions. And this is true. We talk about this on crypto generally, right? Like the percentage of Americans that have crypto, is going up exponentially for how many have it. The amount of people that are actually using Web3 is like a tiny fraction.
Yes.
Right. Like it's like 1% of the population, of the United States and likely of the world. And that to me is like literally we're sitting on like when 1% of people were using the internet. Right. What? Right. Seriously. And not everybody, invested in Amazon when it was $3 or whatever. Right. And I think, again, we're going through the stock boom like situation that that was the .com bubble. Like we're in that, and for NFTs and Web3, and I think we actually might only be in the middle of it, because I think there's a lot of movement there. And interestingly, I think it might get foiled because especially in this transition for Uplift, like we had a lot of conversations with. So we had to raise some money to do it or whatever. And we were talking about like, do we get investors? Yada yada. And finally, we're just like, no, investors is ruining everything we've seen that touches them. So we just won't do it. We'll just like do this really weird thing where we just do the business.
Yeah, and do it ourselves.
Right.
Like it is
right. Like that.
It is hard.
Like, how do you .com that?
Yeah, you can. Hopefully you don't. But like at the same time, like we're aware of that internet boom. Hopefully we don't make the same mistakes as they did, which was get caught up in the money aspect of it, and that like, oh, suddenly we're millionaires, we can just like play it safe now and stuff like.
Right. Well, and run, right? Like that, like the was it like I think pets.com or whatever, they spent $18 trillion or whatever on
advertising.
They didn't even have a fucking plan.
Yep, they had
right.
Nothing.
And again, there's a lot of projects. Again, like 50,000 PFP projects. 99.9 of them are going to zero because they don't have a fucking plan.
Yep.
And they are buying fucking cars.
It's already starting. It's already
a huge problem.
Basketball player, like I love basketball. It's the only sport that I still make time to watch. And we had a huge trade for the Sixers here. One of the players we were looking at was De'Aaron Fox. He plays for Sacramento. He started a PFP project back in March when it started taking off. Sold out. It's Fox's something. And I think the floor was a couple ETH for a little bit. 2 months ago, he posted on Instagram. He was like, look, I'm sorry. I didn't understand all the work that went into this. Here's a multimillionaire saying, I can't give the community what it wants. So I'm out. Guy makes $25 million a year playing basketball and just decides, you know what? I got to shut it down. No idea what's going on with that community. Nothing. Yeah. But like, that is a harsh reality that we all have to be prepared for.
100%. There's only gonna be more of that, right? Like because this shit, it really, and I think most of the people that watch the show, I mean, you've been with us through the last couple months, been a little challenging.
Yeah.
Right. Trying to figure out how to create a situation where we can move things forward. And really, if it wasn't for the insane passion and commitment of the team that decided to come with me to do this from scratch from where we're at, it just wouldn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like, if it was just, if it was just me, I probably would actually, because I'm a fucking lunatic. But like, I can totally understand why people might want to just fucking quit. I absolutely do. Because like, when things become challenging is when everyone turns on you with knives. Right. And like, navigating that to remember that, it's like 2% of your community that's completely and totally fucking insane and shitty. And 98% of them are genuinely fucking fantastic, and like the TCs and the mellows, of the ecosystem. Like, and really, like, I had conversations with all those guys. Like that's what got me through, frankly.
Yeah,
like, just that
it is.
That's what makes it so that I have absolutely no choice but to keep going. I just have to. For that,
like, I've been burnt out for the past 2 months, and I haven't told Sean, and I haven't spoken in a month. He knows that I'm working nonstop with a 2-year-old. But like, I spoke to him yesterday, and talking to you guys, like, suddenly, like, I love my job again. Like, and I am like revitalized. It is exhausting. And to your point about like the community and stuff, I saw a tweet the other day that really like hit home. It said 2022 is the year people who got in 2021 realized that the people that made it rich in 2021 got in 2018. So like, in another 2 to 3 years, like, the people that are frustrated right now, like me, and that are just like burning out, like, why am I doing this? Like, it's fun, but at the same time, it is a drag, because you see all of these success stories happening all the time, and that's all anyone wants to talk about. Like, nobody talks about like the amount of work that has to go into it. And you're right. Like, when you don't moon right away, or you don't get the right influencer to tweet something, like, everyone is just like, well, what are you doing? What's going wrong? Like, it is really, really hard. I wanted to have something like 5,000 followers on Undrgrnd by now. We've got 2,100 in 4 months, and I've done like no paid promotions or anything, just giving away membership cards and giving away art. And it is not happening as fast as I want it to. But it's happening. And Edda, and talking to you guys and talking to Sean and stuff, like, it's a reminder that this doesn't happen overnight, and that you want it to work, then you'll make it work. 100%. And it's, yeah. And Arnold Schwarzenegger, of all people, had a joke that didn't go over well. He said,
good caveat.
He said on a good podcast, on some podcasts, he's like, the first million is the hardest to make. So why not just start with the second? And the reaction that he got was what you guys are doing right now, because they didn't understand the joke. He's saying, like, just skip working on the first million. Just start with making the second million right away. Like that's what we all think.
Yeah, if you could, it'd be great. And it really, and that, goes back to the UBI conversation. Like, even bootstrapping from, I think Andrew Yanks is like $1,000 a month or whatever. Like, that makes such a profound difference, because you can actually take risks.
Yep.
You can spend your time building an app, without like an existential, risk hanging over your neck. Anyway,
100%.
And we've gone, all through that. And you have to come back more often, frankly.
Why? So we can talk for 3 or 4 hours.
I agree.
It's important, right? Because like that burnout thing, and Jimmy knows because he's like, he moonlights as my therapist. Like
right.
It's hard, and really, like we're getting close to the end of this deal. But like even just seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, like I'm getting back into like, wait a minute, we like massive action. I fucking love that shit, right? When we can focus on those things that we want, and again, like you set a goal like the the number of followers or whatever. At any point you get to start again. Okay, well here you are. You're not starting from 0. You're starting from 2,100, right? You only have to double that. I mean, you went from 10 to 20, right? Yeah. The situations aren't that different. And also, like, I'd love to see an Undrgrnd article on where we hide all the alpha.com as an example. But yeah, let's just do a bunch of cross promotion shit.
Yeah.
And like all my followers are your followers, fucking game on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, that is how we do it. That's why you need to, like you said, the currency is in attention, but the currency is actually in the relationships that you are building with other communities.
100%.
Like you said, like I say, go buy this artist. You trust me. All right, Corey, you have people that trust you. Corey just bought this. Why'd you buy this? Oh, I got it from Joe, and so on down the line.
That's why you guys need to have that curated gallery, right? Like 100%. I walk into your guys' Undrgrnd curated gallery just outside the Uplifters Tower or whatever. I'm like, why don't I fucking own these guys? Right? 100%.
I'm gonna put a tweet up today on our thing because it happened like 2 weeks ago. One of the guys that writes for us, Galarraga, who's just part of our community, but I trust him and I keep like giving him more work to do, which is how I got this job. Sean did the same thing for me. We find these artists and like we'll talk at night and he'll be like, here, what do you think about featuring this artist? And then all of a sudden a week will go by, he'll text me again. He's like, I hope you bought them because someone tweeted about it and their price spiked by 50 Tez. And this happened with one of the artists we featured, Kem Hassimi, who's doing a drop with Undrgrnd. I love his work. It's these awesome gifts with these great titles of like people just like arguing with each other. And you see these beautiful, like colorful things of just like them spitting at each other. It's fantastic. Bought them for like 8 Tez, which is about $40 or $50. Some influencer discovered him a month after we featured him. His price jumped to like 70 to 100 Tez on some of his pieces, and now that's like $150 to $300. But we bought it at 40 or 50, and that is that idea of finding something that you can belong to in this kind of like secret that you don't want to be a secret.
That's an interesting tension, right? Like we want everyone to know, but like we want to get our bag first.
Yeah. It's but like that is again goes back to what we were talking about. Like it's okay to make money on the thing that you love, especially when you yes, greed can change anyone, but like I do believe that us and Sean and Kenny, yes, we all want to make money, but at the same time, like we are genuinely decent people that want to do it the right way.
Well, and make money for everyone, right? Like
and make money for everyone, yes. And that's the
real
idea.
Difference for me is like spotting the people that are genuinely trying to make shit tons of money. These are businesses.
Yes.
Right? Even like the Uplift DAO is the business. Now, granted, like we're solving this and teaching people about it by creating the DAO token, which is going to be revenue sharing. Suddenly everyone wants us to do fuck tons of sales.
Yes.
Okay.
Right. Exactly.
And that, it just means we're all aligned in that way. That to me is super exciting. But yeah, I mean, you guys are lifting up artists. Like that's the point. That's the value that you're bringing to the table. And to me, that means that, you're earning the money on the back end for that. And again, I feel like you're setting up the infrastructure to play the long game, which I deeply respect because again, to TC's point, you got to go through a full cycle. I think you're right. Like the NFT cycles are kind of in like 18 months, maybe. I don't know. Like if you're around for a couple of years, it's like being in Bitcoin for 4 or 5, which is fun.
Yeah.
I think it's just,
it'll be interesting to see how it works. Like I bought one of those rare peepees.
There it is.
There. All right, so they're called Pepes. Yeah, but I always tell my wife, I bought one of them. They were the first things like minted on Bitcoin back in like 2016, and an artist, Robness, was big into it back then. I think the first one that was ever minted is selling for a couple $1 million now. So I bought one that was minted a little bit later. It's Liam Neeson from Taken, depicted on some stupid collectible card, and I forget what I spent on it. It was like half an ETH. And I told my wife, in a few years, I'm gonna buy a house because I bought this thing, because you can't change the timeline of things. You can't go back and make history. So the joke is that I'm gonna buy you a house with PP money.
Nailed it.
Yep. So
without having to go into porn again.
Without having to go into porn. My PP money is gonna buy us a house. This is what I say in a few years.
Yeah, I keep there's a moment where being in NFTs is going to pay off my wife's $250,000 student loan.
Yep, and mine too.
And I was, a year and a half ago, people don't really get this. I was a musician, right? I was maybe making 20, 25 grand a year, that, and that's kind of working my nards off as a musician. And don't get me wrong, working a musician, making any money at all is brilliant. Zero complaints. I absolutely loved it. But my wife's a neuropharmacologist. She makes way more money, 4 times, 5 times more money than I made, and I couldn't materially impact our lives together, right? And the one thing I always had was time, and the one thing she never had was time. And so literally a decade ago, I started teaching myself business and trading and crypto and Forex just to see if I could buy back her time. It only took me about 10, 11 years, Jimmy, but it's going to happen now, right? Which is really fun. Anyway, I got to play this. So I don't know if you guys noticed, April 4, we're having this big kickoff land sale auctions going on. Most of the leftover stuff that we have on Wax across all the worlds is getting put up for sale. It's all going to be map based. So if you own a piece of land, you could buy the piece of land next door. If it's in our wallet, you're going to be able to bid on those. At the end of April, we're targeting for the first snapshot. So the number of pieces of land that you own is going to directly correlate with how much DAO token you get in the first drop. We're going to be doing a couple. Again, these are revenue sharing things. So as long as you hold these DAO tokens, in your Ethereum wallet, we are minting on Ethereum, by the way. You're going to be getting a revenue share of everything that we did. And we did 5 million last year, so it's a non trivial potential over the next decade. Jimmy,
we should hammer it out to that second video that's in the private chat. I actually uploaded
the new one from Cowie.
Perfect.
Right. Hey, if you could join us up the front, sunrise will be happening shortly. So
the silence when the sun comes up is power.
Where we go one, we go all. 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 Together we cannot fall. Together we cannot fall. Where we go one, we go all. Together we cannot fall. The silence when the sun comes up. The family we are building. The community and the child. Together we cannot fall. Together we cannot fall. Where we go one, we go. Together we cannot fall. Together we cannot fall. Where we go one, we go all. Together we cannot fall. Silence on the sun.
Anyways,
thanks for joining us, Joe.
Yeah, of course.
As Corey said, please come back anytime. You're always welcome. Also, what's
should
up?
Do the
next?
Shift City still?
Yeah, let's do that. We'll play out with the Shift City. We're looking forward to putting more Undrgrnd stuff in the Uplift. Come join us tomorrow for NFT Game Day. We're probably going to extend the conversation a little bit from what we talked about today. We're going to have Anders from Any Observation on, and he's been doing some tweet rants, which I think are really valuable, talking about projects that survive and projects that die. A lot of what we went through today. And tomorrow night, definitely come and join me and Sean over on the Edge, where we get into all kinds of insanity and madness. We'll see all you guys tomorrow.
Oh yeah. All right, muted. Hey, TC, as far as getting these videos out there, that's absolutely what we're going to be doing. Super Sam is actually, working on a grinding out social strategy. We need to be posting all of Jimmy's articles from where we had all the alpha.com, because they're, the vast majority of them are evergreen. And obviously these videos are as well. So having even one of them post a day on all of our socials, just we're definitely going to be doing that. If anyone has any more ideas about how we can get them out more and get them out all over the place, let us know. And I think the support the DAO project that we launched to try and shore up the transition cost, you can actually get a lot of these videos as NFTs. All that money is going straight to the DAO to help us actually make this fucking thing work, which is cool. Anyway, it's fucking gold. Gotta do another PvP night, man.
Right.
Anyway, we've been here for too fucking long. We should rock and roll.
That's what happened when you have me on.
I'm all right with it. Seriously, time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, it was great. Thanks. Come, like Corey said, come back more often, and maybe a little bit shorter. And thank you guys all. No, I'd rather have you. I'd rather have you more. I'd rather have you more for less than less for more. I don't know. Anyway, thanks for coming. We'll see you guys on the flip side. Take care.